Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world on this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. To light our Shabbat candles, I'd like to invite up, I asked you last time, Juliet, so I'll ask Andrea today. Who is our Oneg family, though, that year?
Marshall Daniel.
Okay. And Russell Dawes. Okay. In their stead, the Daniels Dawes, okay. In their stead, Andrea will light our candles.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav, v'tzivanu l'chad l'kner Shabbat.
Amen. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. We continue on pages 138 and 139 with Lecha Dodi. As is our custom, we sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we reach verse 9, I invite you, if you're able, to rise and face the door and imagine the Sabbath as a beautiful bride or queen coming down the aisle to join us in our sacred time together. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, V'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, Kiva ora kumi ori, uri, shir daberi, Kevod Adonai halayich nigla. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, Toch emunei segula, Boi chala. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala. Pene Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated. Did I skip verse 2? Okay. I was listening to a podcast today, I'm sure that will shock people, about Jewish music, and I learned that Romemu, which is a fairly famous synagogue in New York, they sing Lecha Dodi for a full 15 minutes. They do all of the verses, and then they do a lot of like lie, lie, lies, and they repeat the chorus, and they get up and dance, and the whole thing. And apparently just singing 3 verses wasn't short enough for me today. I don't know. Maybe next time we'll do 15 minutes. All right, we've lit our Shabbat candles. We've welcomed in the Sabbath bride. We are ready now to fully segue into our evening service with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabach Be'alma divrach irtev yamlich malchutei B'chayichon uv'yom echon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'gala ba'gala uv'izman karif ve'imeru amen Yehesh merabba mevarach He'alamul al me'amaya Yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach Yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudasha b'richu Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma ve'imeru amen. On page 264, you are called to worship for the Baruch Hu. Please rise in body or spirit. Ya-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da. Ya-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da. Ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da-da. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. And we continue together on page 265. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you, to endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. On page 266, we read responsively. In each age, we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment, we are addressed by the world.
Each challenge by our speech. At each moment, we face truth.
In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
Perfect. And seek the central truth.
Baruch atah Adonai Oheb Amo Yisrael. On page 267 is the Shema, followed by the Ve'ahavta. I invite you to prepare yourself for these words of Torah. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meotecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha uvlechtecha b'derech uvshachvecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha Leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Please be seated, and we read responsively on page 269. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness with their imperfection, evil of them.
Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil in heaven's great heart, and they are good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
One will be played in word.
Long ago we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
Yes. So we celebrate power. They get from faith to believe.
Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi chamocha neder bakodesh, no ra tehilot osef ele, no ra tehilot osef ele, malechutecha ra'u banecha pokei ayam, lifnei Moshe ze Eli, Anu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch elam va'ed mi chamocha bailim Adonai mi chamocha neder bakodesh no ra tehilot osef ele no ra tehilot osef ele Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety, and in your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 272. Ve'shamru v'nei Yisrael ha'shabbat la'asot et ha'shabbat lidorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael ha'shabbat la'asot et ha'shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael ha'shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We come now to the central portion of our prayer service. The Amidah begins on page 273 and continues over the next few pages. Please rise in body or spirit. Adonai, Sefatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, ve'Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, Levi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach u'Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim bechesed, Mechaye HaKol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofech cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Mishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melech, Melech me'mid u'mechayeh, u'matzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh. Please be seated, and we continue together on page 278. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. On 279 and 280, we are going to do the insert for Rosh Chodesh. Today was the first day of Kislev, and tomorrow night is our monthly Rosh Chodesh moon circle for women and women-adjacent people. Be gracious, Adonai, our God, to your people Israel, and receive our prayers with love. May our worship always be acceptable to you. Fill us with the knowledge that you are near to all who seek you in truth. Our God and God of our fathers and mothers, be truly mindful of us and all your people Israel on this, the first day of the new month of Kislev, and renew us in love and compassion, goodness, life, and peace. This day, remember us for well-being. This day, bless us with your nearness. This day, help us to a fuller life. Let our eyes behold your presence in our midst and in our midst of our people in Zion. Blessed is Adonai, whose presence renews Zion. On page 281, we read responsively, for the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
Nature, harmony, and beauty. For the Pope of tomorrow, all praise.
For all these things, O Sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Page 282. Shalom Val Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Val Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata Melech Adon L'chol HaShalom. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit uv'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam, tasim leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We take a moment now for silent prayer. You might use the words on pages 283 and through 285, or the meditations of your own heart. Yehiyu leratzon imrei fi, vehegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri. V'goali, v'goali. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and redeemer. We turn our thoughts now to those who are ill, injured, or recovering from surgeries and in need of our prayers for healing. We have on our list Rosalind Cantu, Shelley Leon, Richard Blaylock, Nick Joliot, Erwin Marcus, Anita Ash, Steve Booker, Carol Janowski, Faye Chernin, Ann Jackson, Clinton Parks, Jane Drabkin, Allie Hauver, Kelly Deschamps, Gail O'Neill, Sandy Sandillo, Susan Van Cott, Faith Goldstein, Keith Yancey, Joe Mincer, Julia Michelli, Jean Carlton, Michael Seaver, Ken Martin, and Sam Corson. And if anyone else has a name they'd like to share at this time, please do so. Mishaberach is on page 371, and we hold in our hearts all those in need of healing of mind, body, and spirit. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha La'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Toldot, telling us of the many ways in which Isaac and Rebekah's marital lives mirror that of Abraham and Sarah, and about their children's relationships into adulthood. In reading various other Divrei Torah, looking for some inspiration for tonight for myself, I came across one entitled The Binary Brothers, written by Cantor Sherry Allen in 2018 for Trua, the Rabbinic Call for Human Rights. Now, there are several bangers of emotional line deliveries in this week's Torah portion, and one of them is Isaac's wonderment, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." I have long thought about this as a mirror to all the ways our professed values and our lived actions may not always be aligned, that we may speak with one voice, yet act with the hands of another. So when I read the title of Cantor Allen's Devar Torah, that was the binary I was expecting. Instead, she talks about the assigned binaries of Jacob and Esau's personalities and draws connection to the gender binary and the way we assign gender at birth often. And I realized that this parsha coincides with Transgender Awareness Week and Trans Day of Remembrance, which was yesterday. Neither brother appears to be LGBTQ. Not a lot of obvious trans representation in the Tanakh in general. But they certainly seem to have assigned at birth characteristics not unlike how our culture assigns gender at birth and makes assumptions throughout a person's life about how they should perform that gender. From the start, we are told that Esau is identified by his hairiness and Jacob by his clinging to his brother. We know that Esau is a hunter, assumed by the ancient commentators to be no better than the animals he kills, depicted in the text as dim-witted and driven by his most basic instincts. We know that Jacob will overtake his twin, depicted as capable of forethought and trickery. And their parents nurture these distinctions. Rebekah, in particular, leads her sons pretty actively to the lives she thinks they should lead based on these traits that they were supposedly born with or that she was told before they were born to expect from them. I'm sure it will shock none of you who know me to learn how conversations about assigned identity play out in my household. We did not choose to learn the sex of our baby in utero, and although we have chosen a feminine name in response to her assigned sex at the hospital, We plan to leave plenty of room for our child to explore their own gender, gender representation, presentation, and sexuality when the time comes. However, Philip is undoubtedly correct that I will have a hard time leaving such room when it comes to how Jewish to raise our child. I would like to think that on any topic, I would encourage my child to explore her own identity and refrain from enforcing my preconceived notions of who my child would or should be onto the real person before me. However, she is definitely assigned Jewish at birth, and that is something we will have to navigate if someday she comes to me and tells me that's not who she really is. But all people should be free to be who they are, and it is the responsibility of parents to encourage their children to learn who that is for themselves, to nurture their talents, sure, and to help them learn basic right from wrong, of course, but also to urge them to occasionally step outside their comfort zone and try new things, teach them to ask questions and think for themselves, accept the outcome, even if it's not who you expected it to be, even if your son takes a Hittite or Canaanite wife, even if your child tells you the name you lovingly bestowed upon them at birth no longer suits, even if your child rejects the community you hoped they would embrace. Perhaps, if Rebekah and Isaac did that, Jacob and Esau would have remained on speaking terms. Perhaps if more parents did this, we wouldn't need a transgender day of remembrance. May our Torah lessons remind me of these dangers as Fiona grows into her own person, and may we all care for all the children in our midst whose own parents have failed in this manner, that we may protect future generations from harm. Amen and Shabbat Shalom. We turn toward our concluding prayers on page 286. I'd like to invite Andrea back up to open the R. 586. What did I say? 286. 586. And please rise in body or spirit before the open ark. Alenu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kogoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vigor alenu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, Le'melech al kol ha'aretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo, U'shemo echad. You may be seated. We turn our thoughts now to those who are no longer with us in body, but remain with us in spirit. This week marks a yahrzeit for Jacob Geller, Edna Platt, Oscar Mincer, Nina Markowitz, Elise Gibson, Florence Treadwell, Greta Schwartz, Minnie Markowitz, Stephen Mandel, and Nick Ralston. And we are still within the year of mourning for Mike Klimas, Wenda Monger, Elaine Perlstein, Ira Dornfeld, Alexander Poblé, and Alicia Glass. If anyone else has a name they'd like to share at this time, please do so. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Mourners and those who wish to join them may rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma divra chirute ve'amlich malchute. V'chayachon u'v'yom echon u'v'chayoy d'chol Beit Yisrael. V'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehe shmei rabba mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tush birchata v'nechemata damiran ve'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shlam rabba min shemaya v'chayim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. O say shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. You may be seated. O say shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. A couple of announcements before we close. As I said, tomorrow night is our monthly Rosh Chodesh Moon Circle. If you have questions about it, you should contact Katie Simon. I can get you her contact information. But besides the fact that it is tomorrow at 6:30, I haven't been to one yet. Sunday school may be canceled. That was being decided right before services, so I'm not sure what happened, which doesn't affect anyone in this room, but if there are religious school families watching on the stream, check your email before you show up here Sunday morning. Monday, there is still Torah study on Zoom. Next weekend, there will be no Shabbat service. Everybody enjoy a holiday weekend at home. And the weekend after that, when we're back, it's a Saturday morning weekend, not a Friday night. So. Do you want to say anything more about? Yeah, okay.
A reminder for those of you that know, that Delta are having a fundraiser for bagels, Shabbat, and brisket on April 12th at the cafeteria in Madison. We're looking for folks to participate. We're not asking for your money, we're asking for your expertise and your time. We're going to have a Zoom call on December 7th. We're also trying to get businesses and other organizations to be sponsored, to buy ads in our the program. Ads start as low as $40. So we're trying to make it easy. It's going to be a fun afternoon. Besides food, we're going to play Riddle, we're going to do a Jewish celebrity trivia game, and we're going to do some dress up like fun. So. Any questions, feel free to contact me. I would love to answer anything that I can, and I hope to get everybody's participation. Thanks.
Thank you. Does anybody else have announcements or personal joys to share tonight? Okay. Then our closing song is Ein Keloheinu on page 626. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu, Mich Eloheinu, Mich Adonenu, Mich Emalkeinu, Mich Moshienu, Nodal Eloheinu. Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Emalkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Join us for Kiddush and Oneg.